So I don't like the holidays. I actually hate the holidays. You know, I grew up in a family that didn't know how to celebrate anything. There was no Hanukkah bush, there was no Christmas tree, there was just this abyss. And so I went to the library and I brought back a stack of books and I read through them until it was over. And I went back to school, which I didn't really like, but it was better than that black hole. Then I married a man who didn't like the holidays either. He was finely tuned to hypocrisy, and that's what we saw with all this stuff. So how did we celebrate the holidays? We lay down in the dark. We went to poetry readings, and they said, in the wintertime, the seeds lie in the dark and wait for spring. And that was us, and it felt just right. But the Christmas music, it wasn't that bad. And so we went on this way until we had those children. And when you have children, you cannot exactly ignore the holidays. And so for a while, I tried to kind of shadow somebody who knew what she was doing. And I actually found myself in one of those big box stores surrounded by plastic crap. It was really hard, but we got the toys. And I have it, you know, in the photograph. They're two small children looking daggers at each other, crouched over their toys. This is the season of comfort and joy, not. And so we kind of limped along, push me, pull you, until it was the mid-'70s, and the kids were now in grade school, and we were into, you know, self-manifestation. You know, you do your thing, I do mine. We are very honest. And we looked at each other when it was starting to build up, and we said, Christmas is bullshit. Let's just cancel Christmas. Ooh, we were so proud of ourselves and our honesty. And we told the children, and they just looked at us like that because they know that parents are crazy and despotic. They have nothing, you know, there was not a thing they could do. And we had no idea that our daughter had spent the semester in art shop making us presents. So when she found out, she took everything into the back field and she cut up and burned the pictures and the books and the paintings, and she smashed the pottery and she cut up the weavings and she dug a hole and she buried it all. And we had no idea this had been going on, you know, for years. But then finally the children were out of the house and it was all over. I never had to face Christmas again, not. Because I got the job of my dreams at the library, and guess what? They had a holiday gift exchange. And I don't do this stuff. I'm preternaturally cheap, and I never know what people want or need, and do they actually need it? And so what in God's name could I give? And then I knew it. I could give something that was very close to my heart that didn't cost anything. A poem. I love poetry. So I found this poem by Rumi, a very strange poem, and I copied it out and I ran it off and I cut it up, and then I looked at this kind of oblong square of paper and I realized that wasn't exactly festive. Even I knew that. So I cut it into an egg shape because I realized I could make these pouches out of this scrap, you know, fabric I had. So I made the pouches and I slipped the egg-shaped poem in, and then it was still a little kind of light. So I put in stones from the sea and shells from the sea because Mother Nature is very generous and it doesn't cost a thing. And so I took them to my staff meeting and I gave them all the pouches and they opened them up and they admired the shell or the stone, and they read the poem, and some really liked it, and some looked really puzzled, and some hung the pouches from their Christmas tree. I wasn't really that far off, it turned out. And from that day, which was a good, quarter century ago to this, every year I give a poem. And it's something that's really close to my heart. And people keep them. They put them on their refrigerators. I don't do it via the electronic. I like it on the paper. And so, one of them was, and these are all poems out of hard times. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Leonard Cohen, R.I.P. Then there was Dance Like No One's Watching. I forget the middle line. It was so long ago. But Love Like You've Never Been Hurt, If Only. That's by Anon. It was graffiti scrawled in the rafters. And then I'll tell you this year's, which I'm giving to you. It's one line from Rumi, and I have it on my bathroom wall. I look at it every day and every night. Through love, all pain will turn to medicine. Now, we have a lot of love in this room. We have a hell of a lot of pain in this world. We need a lot of medicine. Take that poem and make it work in your lives. Thank you.